For some kooky reason, I thought I hit go live and it stopped being live, and Streamlabs flipped out and did some stuff, and it goofed up my layout and everything like that. I'm Rob, that developer dad. It's Thursday, August 1st, and we're building a application to help me when I'm running my D&D games. My players are always asking me those difficult questions about NPCs that they meet along the way, like what's their name, what do they look like, who are they, stuff like that. So I'm building an application to help me answer those questions while we are playing our game. And the AI has generated a name, Bright Scale Brute, which is odd, but whatever. We can roll with that. They have shiny gold scales that reflect light in an almost magical way, dresses modestly to avoid drawing unwanted attention. Yes, Rev Fry, I'm using Blazor. And I do intend to get rid of this gradient blue to purple sidebar and the GameTools.Blazor client as I get closer to having a final product. Because as soon as I see this, I go, oh, Blazor. We have our personality generated by the AI, resourceful and imaginative, with a penchant for vibrant colors despite their intimidating appearance. Now retired, but still active in the art world, using their unique appearance and storytelling abilities to inspire others. Born into poverty as an urchin, Bright-Scaled Brute discovered a love for painting, which led them to become a renowned painter among their species, despite lacking formal training. Now, before I dive into adding some drop downs, there's a couple of things I want to tweak here. Namely, I want to add what was randomly chosen for profession and background, because I'd like that display. It doesn't always say the game choice version of what was selected. So I'm just going to shrink this down because we do have hot reload available to us, since we're not going to be modifying working code or anything like that. And we need to send that off to the side. I need to view my solution explorer because it went away on me for some crazy reason. Come here, pin you while we find what I'm looking for. And that lives down in the Blazor client in our components, pages, NPC Generator.Razor. So right here, I've got it basically being contingent upon the generated attributes being populated or not. And I think instead of that, I want to... Okay, personality doesn't get randomly generated. That's written by the AI. But our profession and our backgrounds do. So I think instead of doing it this way, I want to pull npc.profession. I'm going to pull that up here. So we've got that. And I'm going to do the same thing with the history or background. Cut that, paste it just below here. And it might actually flip out because I have changed a little bit of front-end logic. But let's see. Yeah, let's refresh. One of the things I absolutely want to do when I get into these choices is have a checkbox to say yes, they're retired, or no, they're still active. Because sometimes I'm dealing with a shopkeeper, and if it generates a retired shopkeeper, well, that doesn't do me much good. Brewer who grew up as a criminal is a half-orc. Let's see what it does for us. And then once we see this updated display, we'll take a look at what's going on as far as adding some choices. And I'm trying to think how I want to place these things on the screen. I'm not quite sure yet. But we'll see how it shakes out. And my biggest priority is making sure it looks good and is usable in a mobile style view here. Because a lot of DMs that I see and at live gaming sessions and stuff do bring a laptop. Gromhark, half orc. Gray-green complexion and coarse black hair, often seen wearing practical breechcloths and leather armor suited to his brewer's trade. Wears leather armor to brew beer? Oh, he must be having to fight a lot of elementals. Tough, loyal, but quick-tempered with a dry wit. Profession. That didn't print out to the screen, and the background also didn't come out. Profession must not have generated properly or something like that. It happens, especially with the local language model. As I get further into this process and further towards turning this into a usable product, we're going to be cloud hosting and using Azure OpenAI instead of a local language model. Let's give this one more shot. So we've got a gender ambiguous gnome who's 450 years old. They were a retired barkeeper. They were a soldier. Let's generate that AI description. And we'll scroll up. And while we're doing this, I'm just sort of meditating on what I want to use for, or how I want to lay out the choices and so on. Whether I want to use a separate view model, I probably do. Or if I'm just going to have everything in one and then be able to push a button and get a dialogue of the NPC sheet. I'm not quite certain what I want to do with that. Thinking down the road, after I've got these choices in here, my next step is setting up a database to save NPCs that we like and are worthy of saving so that we can recall them later. And I think once I've done that, I'm going to let these AI-generated descriptions become end-user editable. And so that means we're going to want to probably have like a setup screen where we do like the actual creation work and then a display screen so that we can see what they look like as if it's like a page out of a NPC manual or a D&D module or whatever. But this is all pretty okay. This is exceptionally live-withable. I might use some bootstrap stuff to bring the barkeep label up next to the profession, or keep the selected profession, bring that up next to the label on the section. Do the same thing with the background. But that's all design and layout stuff that I really don't want to tackle yet. I want to get functionality in place first. And then we can mess around with moving things around and getting them looking great after we've got basic functionality in place. So I'm pretty happy with this. And let's dive into getting these choices happening. And I'm just thinking this through. So we've got several step process. And I'm going to bring up PowerPoint here because I want to think out loud through this design decision that I need to make. And I want to share my thoughts visually as I do it. Just waiting on PowerPoint. Here we go. Let's just load a blank presentation. And go away, designer. Title. Delete. Let's just get rid of that element. Goodbye. And we'll get rid of the subtitle. Goodbye. And I'm going to add a text box at the top. Flirp. And we'll bigify this text. We'll make it a 28 point. All right, NPC generation process. So the first step is choose which options to pick randomly and others from drop-down lists. So that's step one. Step two, using the choices made, fill in the blanks via card shuffling and dice rolling in the main townsfolk manager. Three, optionally, use the AI to get more humanized descriptions of some character aspects. And let's add step one. Step two. Step three. And we'll shrink all of these blocky boys up like that. Step four. Add push a button to display the created NPC in a nicely formatted pop-up window. Big fat question marks. Like, let's bigify those and make them bold. I'm going to leave this as step 4. Persist the NPC data to some storage medium. All right. Step 1 is that. Step 2 is this. Step 3 is pushing that out to the AI if we want to. Step 4 is that, or step 4 is persisting to some storage medium. I think after we've got this stuff settled, we need to go look at storage problems. Or not the storage problem, but we need to add storage to this. So let's dig in and let's get species selecting first. Because there's no sense thinking about how we're going to display something until we've got them created. Okay. Challenge number 1 is getting these things set so that we can select from them. And this here's a view model. That's a button. I think I want to move this button. I'm going to cut this. Actually, I'm going to completely delete this because it's gone, because our AI generated description stuff is now up inside the current display area. So I'm going to take this, cut that, and drop it in up here. Wrong button, Rob. Save that. All right. So I'm thinking, I've got all this stuff. Do we need to turn this display area into a component? Thinking. Excuse me. Let's generate NPC and it just goes completely randomly. And I'm going to change this one to 100% random. And then underneath that, I'm going to do a horizontal rule and go with a div class equals row. Inside here, span class equals call SM12 call MD new. Span class equals div class equals call SM12 call MD3. And div class equals row. And yes, my front-end developer buddies are going to be screaming at me for not using a flexbox, but I don't like flexboxes. Span class equals call 12 and species. Darn hotkeys. Don't be dumb, Rob. Rob's being dumb. Back that up. Get rid of this. And do we have form label? Span class equals form label. We do. Species. Add a line break explicitly. And I believe select ID equals NPC-user-species. At on click equals at hide. I'm going from a thing over here. And at bind is selected OPT. I don't know that that's necessarily what I want. Should drop down, flex, blah, 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 blah. All this nonsense. Okay, so that's for doing that. I just want a simple drop down, man. That's all I want. And the Google search is Woof. I'm going to take a look at Stack Overflow. Go away. So there's this header sign. There's a whole bunch of crap in here. Toggle drop down on mouse enter. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. That's way too complicated, man. Oh, drop downs suck, dude. And I've never done this with Blazor. I've done it with like ASP.NET MVC and stuff like that before, but there's your web app, auto server and WASM. That's as of late October last year, so it's .NET 8. And that's a whole bunch of nonsense. What the heck? All right. Oh, I'm not putting checkboxes in images. Absolutely not. No. That's way more than I want to do right now. Define on-click attribute and also on blur to disable it when the user clicks somewhere else. That tells me absolutely nothing. I really don't want to have to use a component library. I really don't. Blazor Bootstrap. I'll make drop-down list in Blazor. This is going to get gross, I fear. Let's just get an option list on the screen. Select. Yeah. I know we're missing the close angle tag. On-click equals hide. Oh, what are you doing? I'm typing in the wrong window. Ah! All right. And then I believe the syntax is option value equals empty string random. I'm just going to hard code these for the time being. Option value equals human option. Whoop. Let's fire up the pasta machine. Paste. Elf. Dwarf. Halfling. 4 is enough for now. Ask Copilot to give it a go. I roll my eyes at AI on a regular basis. I just want to see what this looks like. So let's save it, run it. Nope. I've got build errors. And what are you complaining about? What? Where is the anger code? The name hide does not exist in the current context. Fine. Get lost. Save everything. What do you mean it doesn't implement interface generate NPC? I think it's gone mad. Get NPC options, describe NPC, generate attributes, parse from JSON. It's right there, you silly goose. All right, save. Sometimes Visual Studio gets confused and behaves in a very silly manner. And I'm working on main for some reason. Okay, what are my changes here? Charge end functions, NPC Generator, Razor. All right. Lock down. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab all this stuff that I just typed in, cut that. I'm going to copy it rather. Give me Notepad. Are you really going to play this game, Windows? It's been silly today. I think I need to turn it off and back on again. It's been a while since I've rebooted this thing. All right, this. Copy. Let's just come up into projects. I'm going to make a new note. Paste. Save that. Let's come up in here. What did I change in charge end functions? I don't remember. Let me compare. Is that it? Just changing valid JSON into valid JSON. Pop this out. And oh yeah. I had done a lot of iteration inside the prompt template. So I'm going to grab this, scroll all the way down to here, copy it, and this goes into charge and functions. All right, and let's pop over to get changes. We're going to undo all of these. Yes. Get lost. I don't know why it's still complaining about those errors. When all else fails, restart Visual Studio. Turn it off and turn it back on again. All right. And rebuild the solution because it has gotten itself into a silly state. And it's restoring and is doing things. And even though I'm currently in between employers, I feel like I don't have enough hours in the day or could use an Android that knows all the things I do. All right, let's put our prompt edits back there. So we'll save that. And before I continue on down this road, contract tests, we can delete that local branch. We can delete this local branch. And I'm going to create a new local branch from main That is feature / add user choices. Create. Yes, bring my committed changes over. Excuse me. Solution Exploder. NPC Generator. Come back over to my notepad. Copy this stuff. Oh, geez, I even lost those edits as well, I think. Oh, bother. I'll have to remake those changes. Whatever. Do another one. Let's paste that here. Add a horizontal rule just to give ourselves some visual distance. Try running it now. I should have just restarted Visual Studio right from the start instead of unsetting all of my changes. That was a goofy thing to do. Random! Hey, look at that. I feel like a pack lid. I am smart. I made it go. Good. Good, good, good. Now, there is a right way and a wrong way to do forms in Blazor. Microsoft Learn Blazor Forms. Let's take a look at what the inventors have to say before I dive in too far. Okay. So anti-forgery token, that's going to become important very, very soon. Post, on submit, submit, form name. There's all this good stuff. Let's make this considerably bigger so that I can see the entire code sample on screen. Bind value model.id. Button type submit. Okay. Code is supply parameter from form. Uninitialized submit. Yeah. Okay. ID equals model.id. Okay. So not really an edit form so much at this point in time, since I'm just trying to get this interactivity in place, Rev. Label, identifier, input text. Okay. Input components. Hey, I've got a new follower in the form of heresy and hearsay. Input select. T value is select. All right. Input file, I'm not worried about that yet. This is the class of the thing. All right. Yeah, edit form is something that I need eventually. So that was a good call out, Rev. Description, input text area. Yeah. All this stuff. Supply parameter from form. Oh, that's a neat attribute. Line initialized, submit. It just logs stuff. Okay. And I don't care about multiple option selection. I just want to get one option from the screen to the backend handler. And it looks like I might actually have to do some re-architecting around what's happening in the UI. And it looks like I'm not going to be able to just jam things in here to make it go. Because I've got this section here is a display type area. And then this section up here would be a configure the NPC type thing. So I want to keep this display as sort of an independent view model of its own. And our options are going to need to be independent view, is going to need to be an independent view model. And that means this whole view is going to be composed of those elements and components. And of course, generate AI description, it needs to go somewhere else on the screen. And of course, we've got our, we could even think of this as being a preview that we can do like this. And then once we're happy with the preview, then we call the LLM. So let's see here. Step one, choose which options to pick randomly and others from drop-down lists. Display this in a NPC preview. VM. And then I want to do this, CV, fully randomize an example NPC for display preview on load. Step 1A. Let's get rid of that extra line. Step 1B. Shrink this down just a scooch. Populate drop-downs with options in a setup NPC VM. User clicks the go button. User clicks use these. Then we go into step 2, we display that in the NPC preview VM. preview VM has the button. User clicks. Describe. Button in NPC Preview VM. And then we got to transition to, I'm going to 86 this. Turn that into 5. Copy, paste. Step 4. Persist the NPC data to some storage medium. No. Re-display NPC preview with AI generated stuffs. You're going to come here. I'm going to shrink this down. And let's add some arrows. Shapes. Why do they keep moving things? And then I'm going to add an arrow again. Nope, that interaction happens automatically. Go from there to there. And I want to make those a little better looking. Where's my shape options? They really do some weird things sometimes. All right, arrange quick styles, shape outline. d2lang.com. Oh, neat. I'll take a look at that later. Documentation? No, this is me thinking visually, Rev. And I'm mostly just doing this in PowerPoint so that it's because it's quick and dirty and fast, and it lets me visually share my thoughts with the people in stream. Now, moving from step 2 to 3, I am going to. I don't want the fill. I want the bloody outline. Shape outline. We're going to go to a 3-point weight, but we're going to dash it or dot it because that means optional. Oh, I like dots better here. Sometimes the dotted line means it's asynchronous, like fully disconnecting queued. In this case, my dotted line means you could go here if you want. And then you could go from there to there. Or you could go from step 2 straight to persistence. Excuse me. Now, let's select both these arrows at the same time. Come back over here. Set the weight to 3 so that they're a little bit chunkier. And go with dots. And I want to make all of my maybes. shape outline. Let's pick a different color. I'm going to go with a dark orange on those. And then for these that are sure things, I'm going to do a dark green. It's not enough contrast. You can't really tell it's green against the dark navy. There we go. Fully randomize an example NPC for preview on load. User clicks use these. We do that. This. Control CV. That. Show. Randomize. Show a random button in that little section. Okay. So thinking about that, I'm going to take a screen grab of my PowerPoint window. I've only got a few more minutes left on today's stream, and then I want to free up my house's bandwidth for September, who is going to be recording an episode of Heresy and Hearsay with our friend Barney. And I don't know if they're going to be streaming it or not. So let's come over here and we'll add a new slide. And let's try to mock this up. And let's add a shape. And I can hear people saying, why aren't you using Figma? Because I don't have a Figma account and I've never used it before and I don't feel like fighting through the learning experience right now. All right, let's go white background on this. And let's add a text box right here. NPC Generator. I might try to figure out how to raid. No promises. NPC Generator. I don't want to use I'm feeling lucky because somebody else does and they have more lawyers than I do. So let's edit the text. %100 random. Or, okay, give me a horizontal rule. And then no. Make it random. Control C, V. Let me pick. Copy, paste. Shapes. I'm just going to grab some of these. Two, three. those are all too wide. So we'll make them smaller. Floop. And a line, just because I'm annoying like that. Set the backgrounds to gray. Grab this, CV. Drop that there. Grab it. Bump that down. Align it. And September has gone live with Heresy and Hearsay. And it is 2 o'clock. And I'm going to finish sketching this UI mock-up out offline. And we're going to start the day tomorrow by reviewing this design and what we're going to have to do to see it manifest. The work we've done in the Blazor views and the components so far has been great for getting us up and running and seeing what works. But we've kind of backed ourselves into a corner because we didn't do much planning because I don't know how to use Blazor yet. And, like I said, I'm learning, but it's time to approach it with a little bit more logic and a little bit more planning. So I'm going to do some design this evening or later this afternoon. And then once I've got my design kind of sketched out, I'm going to just mentally, or not mentally, but just sketch out napkin chicken scratch type notes on the different components, their roles and their purposes. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to start working on building out those discrete components so that we can compose them into our main NPC generator screen. Doing that kind of thing and adding the interactivity that we want to add is going to be incredibly difficult and frustrating in the existing view and the existing architecture of the UI. So it's time to step back, think it through, and take a slightly more disciplined approach to that part. And we are going to talk through the actual deliverable artifact stuff that we're going to build starting tomorrow morning. So until then, my name is Rob. I'm that developer dad. If you like what you see, there's likes and follows and all those things. I try to answer comments as they come in. Yeah, I'll see you again hopefully soon. Take care, everybody.